All right, and welcome everyone to yet another episode of the Jebb and Greencast. I'm your host for this week, Tyler Green. With me, as always, is Vinyl Man Jebb.
Hello.
All right, so today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be doing something we call Band Chat. Band Chat, of course, is where me, Jebb, and a guest of our choice, in this case, two guests, which we'll get to in a minute, talk about, some of our favorite bands. And today we're going to be talking about Fountains of Wayne. So, Jebb, I'll let you take it from here.
All right. Well, we're talking about Fountains of Wayne, and we got a couple guests with us. We got Eric Barao.
And with me is Tony Goldmark.
Hey. How you guys doing?
Awesome.
We're happy
to have
you
both
guys.
of you guys here.
All right, so Fountains of Wayne, let's talk about them, of course. All right, so Fountains of Wayne was an American rock band that formed in New York in 1995. The band consisted of Chris Collingswood, Adam Schlesinger, Jody Porter, and Brian Young. The band is best known for its 2003 Grammy-nominated single, Stacy's Mom. So do we want to talk about how we got into Fountains of Wayne?
Yeah. All right. So how I got into Fountains of Wayne is, first of all, really got into them kind of like recently, thanks to Tyler, giving me a list of songs to listen to. But I've known Stacy's Mom because of Bowling for Soup, getting the incorrect credit for the song, and then I was like, I'm gonna check out the actual band, and then I found out Brian Young, which Tyler was going to say, it was part of the Posies, which
one of
Tyler
our
and I
favorite
are
bands of all
huge
time.
fans of. I think the podcast by now knows that we're not centered as a Posies cast, but we have stuff like that. So that's supposedly much it, and I really enjoy a lot of their stuff, but I'm kind of the guy that's gonna be laying on the back burner because I want to hear from you guys, because I don't know a lot about Fountains of Wayne. I'm kind of the outcast in this one, but I know enough. So Eric, if you want to go and see what you got into them.
Sure. So in a previous life, I had a band called The Cautions out of Boston, and we were together about 8 years, and we formed in about 1999. So the other co-songwriter in the band, Jeff Keglarkin, and I had both latched on to the first Fountains of Wayne record when it came out in 96, and our minds were kind of blown. We'd already had influences in common, like the Cars and Elvis Costello, but they really were like the way forward for what we wanted to do. So I'm not sure the Cautions would have come out the same had it not been for that first record.
Oh wow.
Tony, your turn.
The first Fountains of Wayne song I ever heard was a little novelty single they released in the 90s called I Want an Alien for Christmas.
Oh, yeah, I love that one.
Which I heard on the Dr. Demento show, as a matter of fact. And I thought, I didn't know they got airplay on Dr. Demento. That's awesome. Pretty much just that song did, because it was one of the only straight up novelty songs they ever released. But yeah, one Christmas episode, Doc played that song, and I was like, yeah, that's a neat song. And then a few years later, Stacy's Mom came out. I was like, oh, it's this band, the Alien for Christmas band. But when I really got into Fountains of Wayne was a few years later when I got a job at Amoeba Records that used to be on, well, it's coming back. They're opening a new location. Yeah, after the pandemic ends, they're opening a new location on Hollywood Boulevard, which they've been planning to do for a long time now. But yeah, the Sunset location sadly had to have an ignoble death. It closed down for the pandemic, and it's not coming back. They're reopening on Hollywood Boulevard. But anyway, so 2008, I get a job there doing data entry in the back room. And because I'm working in the back room and I'm just working on a computer, 8 hours a day, and it happens to be a used record store, they encouraged us, if you find some CDs on the floor you're interested in listening to, just, bring them back and listen to them while you work. They actively encourage that. Used ones, obviously, so we didn't screw with the shrink wrap. But and through doing that, I got really heavily into a lot of acts that I'd only kind of been peripherally aware of. I got really into Ben Folds doing that.
Another favorite.
Yeah, and I got really into Fountains of Wayne. Through just doing that, I listened to all their albums and became hooked.
Perfect.
All
right, so
and Tyler,
I'll go back again and talk about how I got into them, of course, which was, of course, hearing Stacy's Mom all the way back in 2003, and then finding out they have a connection with the Posies, my favorite band. So that's basically it. So do we want to talk about, some of our favorite songs from the band?
Yeah, Tyler, you can start with that one. I think you got this.
Okay, sure. Well, actually, I would like to have our guests go first,
perfect.
so we can have their input, and then we'll go from there.
That'll make it easier.
Eric?
Should I start?
No, sit down.
You're the host. Tell us who's
Actually, you
going
know what?
first.
We'll do Tony first, then we'll go Eric. We'll do reverse.
Okay,
what we
yeah.
just did.
Let's be fair.
Sure.
Here.
Sure.
Hit it, Tony.
Oh, okay. My absolute favorite song of theirs, and I've given this a lot of thought. And it's weird. This is kind of how a lot of my favorite songs by bands work, is that it tends to be like the first time I'm listening to the album, the song just kind of washes over me, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's a song, I guess, and it doesn't really leave an impact immediately. But then later when I re-listen to it, I'm like, oh my God, this song is amazing. And that's how it was for my favorite Fountains of Wayne song, A Fine Day for a Parade, off the 99 album Utopia Parkway, which is a bit of a deep cut. It's not like, even I think among Fountains of Wayne fans, it's like not one of their big recognized ones. I feel like even from that album, I'm trying to remember what other songs were. Sorry, it's
all good.
Little time.
But I was gonna mention one of my favorites from that album was Red Dragon Tattoo.
Yeah, Red Dragon Tattoo was released as the single, if I'm not mistaken. Right. That and Denise, but I was gonna say All Kinds of Time was the big cult favorite from that album, but then I remember that was Welcome Interstate Managers. That's how little research I apparently did for this, but the
no worries, we're going in. We're going in this casually, so it's fine.
But just for my opinion, A Fine Day for a Parade is just it's almost hypnotic. Just the chord progression of that, it kind of lulls you into it, and it feels like an audio spiral in a weird way. Just the melody of it and the chords, it sounds like a spiral, which sounds weird to say, but yeah, I just love it. I love the portrait it paints of just this, hopeless old woman who has nothing more to do with her life, and she drinks it down.
Oh yeah, that's one thing I want to mention about Fountains of Wayne. One of my favorite things about them is how they're so good at painting all of these stories that you can easily imagine in your head that could be played out as like its own little short film or something.
Of course.
Yeah.
Which is
so many of their songs work so well that way. And I get the feeling that's why they haven't had more hits, because I don't know, something about or at least like more Billboard hits, because I don't know, something about people, they just don't like. They like having songs be just kind of bangers that you don't have to think too hard about.
Oh no, yeah.
And Fountains of Wayne songs do not give you any shortage of things to think about. There's all these cool little details. There's all these cool storytelling details they throw into it. And I guess it only works when you've got an excuse to put a fucking bikini model in the video. So
Of course.
Okay, so
Eric,
so I'll take this chance to talk about some of my my favorite Fountains of Wayne songs, which kind of follows the whole storytelling vibe. "Someone to Love" off of Traffic and Weather, which is a song about two people who are trying to find love, and in the end, they kind of come together, but the one person rejects the other. I think that's a fun. I think that's a fun little spin on the whole trope of guy meets girl.
She doesn't even actively reject him. She just kind of ignores him and quote leaves him for dead. And I remember I read an interview with I think Schlesinger about that song, and he says, it was kind of my attempt at Eleanor Rigby. It was kind of my, portrait of lonely people and stuff. And you can't end Eleanor Rigby with them getting together and being happy. True. Because then it's not Eleanor Rigby anymore.
Yeah, I was going to point out the way the lyrics are written out in the song reminds me a lot of the Beatles, because it's like Seth Shapiro got his law degree, and then they talk about Beth McKenzie, and
that's like Father.
So it's sort of like the whole
But again, the fact that they list full names, like it's not even it's not even just a specific first name. It's like that's the way to kill a love song, from getting too high in the charts, because all love songs got to be as generic as possible. Maybe you can
name, yeah.
maybe you can list their first name. Maybe sometimes that's allowed.
Or it's just baby.
But only if the first name is the title of the song as well.
Course.
That's the only time.
Well, that kind of goes
acceptable.
into mine with Maureen, But Eric, what's
otherwise
your
it has to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it has to be baby or something. Yeah. But
I do want to mention one more song, which is the song that got me into them outside of Stacy's Mom, a Valley Winter song off of Welcome Interstate Managers, which
great
is
great one.
I have a vivid memory of hearing that for the first time, where it's like in the middle of winter and I'm just hanging out, just chilled out, and it was the perfect moment to have that song come into my life. Like nothing, that song is just perfect for describing, just hanging out by the campfire, kids.
Yeah.
All right, Eric, we'll pass it to you.
Although the snow is coming. It's snowy in the song, though, so it's not a great time for a campfire.
Snow's coming down in our New England town.
Yeah.
All right, hit it, Eric.
All right, I have so many things to follow up on.
Yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
I wholeheartedly agree about the level of microscopic detail that they put into the lyrics. When songwriters write songs, usually they're thinking about like, how can I make a song timeless? And Fountains of Wayne do exactly the opposite. They put in very specific details that sometimes date the songs. There's a line about Puff Daddy in Denise, and there's like I think there's something about an answering machine in Bright Future in Sales. So there's all these little details that might date the song, but then again, they draw you in so quickly because it's just it's little tiny details you don't normally hear in songs very often. So anyway, I did not say what my favorite song was. It sort of got stolen from me. One of them is definitely Red Dragon Tattoo. It's just kind of. That's all right. I could literally read the discography to you, and those would be my favorite songs. But
my favorite song, all of them.
Yeah, I-95 is definitely one I love, just because it's a beautiful ballad and very emotional sort of a song. I have a bunch of obscure ones I could talk about, but certainly things like Mexican Wine. Leave the Biker was the first one I ever heard, and that was almost sort of a novelty song, but I really loved it. But yeah, there's a couple of obscure ones I wanted to mention. It recently came to my attention, this demo by Adam called Something Happened, and wow, it blew me away. And I think it's definitely a song that was written to Chris about their career. And that makes it all the more special.
Because you sent the song to us earlier, and yes. I've been listening to it nonstop today, and I saw in the comments for that specific video that apparently that was going to be in a Muppet movie.
Wow. Really?
One of the yeah, apparently.
Wow.
Well, yeah. I'm not familiar with this. What song is the?
This is
What? I'm sorry. What's it called again?
I think it's called Something Happened, and
Something
you can
Happened.
Search it out
Okay.
on YouTube.
I mean, I'm sort of taking it with a grain of salt because it's just like a lone comment on a YouTube video, but I can kind of see Adam writing a song for.
I mean, hey, he wrote for movies all the time. Like That Thing You Do is probably why I should have said I got into Fountains of Wayne was That Thing You Do. I forgot to mention that. I am addicted to that movie to death. I think it's one of Tom Hanks' best.
And of course, when you look at
I love that.
And when you look at Adam's, whole resume, like the stuff he's written for is insane.
Rest
like,
in
of course,
peace.
you mentioned That Thing You Do, but he's also written songs for Bowling for Soup, the Jonas Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm
That's
only
where
just
I could
finding
see
this out.
Stacey's mom getting that, like where people thought it was Bowling for Soup, and it's funny that Adam actually wrote for them too. That's crazy.
Circle.
Yeah.
Well,
he wrote for America a song called Work to Do.
Oh wow.
Yeah, the thing about Bowling for Soup is, okay, I remember Ben Folds in an interview was once talking about just the way the Beatles have influenced everything, and how Ben Folds 5 is basically the Hey Bulldog band in that they took the Beatles song Hey Bulldog and basically made an entire career of just doing songs that sound like that. And I think John Lennon once referred to Electric Light Orchestra as the I Am the Walrus band. And to me, Bowling for Soup is the Stacy's Mom band.
Yes, they true. No, I can see that. I completely agree.
Every Bowling for Soup song is just them trying to do Stacy's Mom and kind of failing, which is weird because in turn, Stacy's Mom was kind of Fountains of Wayne's attempt to do a Cars song, a song by.
And you can really hear that too in their version of it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the guitar line, the ding, ding, ding. I mean, I think Schlesinger admitted that is straight up ripped off from Just What I Needed by the Cars.
Yeah, I can see that.
Eric's our resident diehard Cars fan here. Anyway, I'll weigh in on
that. No, I totally agree. The second I heard it, I said that's going to top the charts, and also that is an homage to, the Cars. Sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So like I said, Adam Schlesinger has written a lot of amazing stuff. He also did the music for Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, one of my favorite shows of the last decade. Have you guys watched that, or?
I've heard of it.
I've seen. It's one of those shows that I keep meaning to finally binge watch, and I just never have the time. But I've seen a lot of clips from it, and yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it's good. One of my favorite, the song I mentioned earlier in the chat, which is one of my favorites from the show, is "What'll It Be," which is, I'm not going to spoil it, but you guys just got to see it for yourself.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one. I got to check that out.
Have that chat going. Okay. Check out. And that's like I sent That Thing You Do, which I think everybody here is familiar with. But I love that movie.
I've heard that in the supermarket at least.
Oh, dude, my dad and I be screaming it, like, the scene where, like, she's running down what's her name, Aerosmith's daughter, Liv Taylor, there we go. Was running down like we're on the radio.
Oh yeah,
and I'm like, that's what I felt like when my hit made it. And then they played That Thing You Do, the Weaklings cover right after. I was like, does this radio host know me? Like, I freaked out. Jim Prell actually played That Thing You Do, Weaklings after Isolated Do, and I was like, he's got to know me. He's got to know me too well, because I ran to my parents like, I'm on the radio. But it was like, it's just really cool. Man. That movie scene is just such in my brain. That's kind of what made me a musician, which is silly. But you know what? It's not as silly because movies mean so much to me as well. And it's like to have that scene and be like, oh, the power and the fact that they were during the 60s. And they allude to the Beatles still being around, which was cool. Because they're like, you think, oh, the Beatles aren't around at this time. But they said, oh, Ringo, and, referenced. I was like, oh, that's cool. Yeah, I could talk about that movie in a whole other thing, but I love it.
Yeah, the assignment with the song That Thing You Do is basically, it has to sound like the quintessential example of a one-hit wonder from 1965 by an American band trying to sound like the Beatles. And Schlesinger apparently heard that and said, well, I've been trying to sound like the Beatles my whole career, so sign me up. And
he's done a good job of it. I will admit.
And it got nominated for an Oscar, and I believe lost to Andrew Lloyd Webber, which no one wants to lose to Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Oh man.
Oh no.
All right, so I also sent a lot of Fountains of Wayne songs to Jebb. So Jebb, if you want to talk about,
all right, so I really like the whole list here. You sent my phone, right? Let me.
I like this one. I like this one.
Let me, I kept texting you back, like, oh, it's really freaking good. Because I wanted to go, because some of these band chats, like, we're going to be doing a Badfinger one in the future. And Tyler, you might not know as much, so having somebody that actually doesn't know as much is actually really cool. We have, like, a field of, like, I get to, like, absorb all this knowledge. And I know what I want to listen to now. So I really started off with A Girl I Can't Forget. That was fantastic. Hackensack really kind of spoke to me. I really liked that one. That was really good. Joe Ray is the album I've had, so I've heard that one before. And then Maureen is my favorite out of all of these. I just like, and again, it's like you mentioned the Bikini Cop covers kind of thing. And I was like, yeah, that's their selling point.
But I mean, and I feel like for a while they almost got pigeonholed as that. Like if you watch the video for Mexican Wine, there's just kind of bikini chicks there for no reason. And it doesn't fit into the song whatsoever, but they're just there because I think that's what the record label insisted. It's like, come on, Stacy's Mom was your hit. You gotta, gotta lean into this.
Yeah. Well, it's like the, like you mentioned Bowling for Soup earlier with the song 1985. That's literally like referencing like Fountains of Wayne style in there as well.
Oh yeah,
definitely. With the fact they're like, the White Snake hood on the car and all that, and it's like, then the record label's trying to get Fountains of Wayne to stay that way, and it's like, oh, they. So I noticed that too with a bunch of the videos. I really liked Radiation Vibe a ton. I thought the music video for that was really cool and trippy, and I was like, that's awesome. And Richie and Ruben got me a little bit too. I liked that one.
Radiation Vibe is another one of those songs that even more recently has really started to grow on me, because when I first listened to their albums, I still kind of think their first two albums are their weakest ones from the 90s overall. I don't dislike them, but I feel like they were kind of unmolded clay. Like to me, Welcome Interstate Managers is the first album that is like perfect, where like every song is at least very good and most of them are great. The first two, I don't know, but some of the songs I could take or leave. It's but Radiation Vibe is one of those, obviously, I'm sure we'll get to this, but after Schlesinger tragically passed away, I went back and listen to their whole catalog, and Radiation Vibe was one of those songs that leapt out to me. It's like, oh wow, I never really got how cool this was until now. So yeah,
that was their first moderate hit. It got like a whole lot of airplay on MTV at the time.
Oh wow. I think it was their first single of any sort ever as a band.
There's some bands with me like that. Like I know a lot of people, like sometimes with Bob Dylan, even as big as he is, like people go back and go, oh wait, now I see what he's talking about. Or even like other like Neil Young too, and I'm a huge Neil Young fan. But it's like it's one of those, like, I think it's those type of bands, like those artists, you love them or you hate them. Where Fountains of Wayne, there's always a happy medium. I think anybody could really get into them, which is great. But it's like once you get into them, it's like now I'm gonna be listening, because Tyler, you got me. I'm excited because it's another band to listen
better
to.
Late than never.
Pop, so of course.
It's a hard band to be a casual fan of. Because number one, once you start getting into a few of their songs, you get addicted and you just can't get enough. But also, like they're also just obtuse enough where the general, mouth breathing public wouldn't find it easy to get into them in the first place. You know what I mean? Like you said, their songs are littered with all these details, and I feel like, most people, when they first hear it, it's not a thing you get instantly addicted to. It's something you've got to have just kind of the right mindset for. But then once you get into them, you get super deep into them, and that's why they inspire such,
Well, I
such
can see like Eric's band with the Cautions.
Yeah,
Eric, I definitely see in your Cautions, because I've really been listening to some of your stuff after you came on our podcast a while ago back, and the Cautions are awesome, but I can hear that Cars and Fountains of Wayne meeting together instead of like being like, oh, it's Fountains of Wayne and then the Cars, it's like together, and I really love that.
Oh, thank you. Sure. I do agree that the Fountains of Wayne, becoming a fan of theirs and sharing it with someone and they get it. That's a friend for life right there. You have a special bond. You can trust that person.
Damn straight.
And Adam's
one thing I do want to mention that Tony brought upon was that definitely I do prefer the later albums a bit more to the earlier albums. I mean, I'm really biased in that Traffic and Weather is easily my favorite Fountains of Wayne album, because everything on that hits the right notes for me. Perfect. But we also have Interstate Manager, which has really great songs like Bright Future in Sales, which was in one of Tony's videos. That's actually how I found out you were a Fountains of Wayne guy, because I heard the Epcot video, and I'm like, holy shit, he likes them?
I've put a bunch of Fountains of Wayne songs here and there throughout throughout my videos. But yeah, I just figured I remember it was a segment, I think just about how they were trying to no, it was because Future was in the title. I wanted to give every song I had with Future in the title that I could find, and that was one of them. So there you go. And Epcot did kind of have a bright future in sales, because most of their pavilions are just, corporate sponsorships.
True.
So it fit.
Yeah, watch Tony's videos. You'll learn a lot.
Yeah,
guys.
And if you guys, actually, we could take a break here for a sec, and each of you guys can talk about what you do. I'll start with Eric, and then we'll go right over to Tony, and you guys could talk about what you do. So, Eric, you've been on the podcast. Actually, you know what? We'll start with Tony, because Eric's been on the podcast before. But Eric, guys, check out the Eric Barao episode. Really, really going to push that one. I'll put it in the link in the description of this one. But Eric, we'll let you talk a little bit more. You can tell us what you've been doing. So, Eric, what have you been up to during this isolation stuff?
Of course, I've been doing a sort of weekly series of mini concerts from home called Home Confinement with Eric Barao, and I'm up to episode 10 now. So it's a collection of some of my songs and a lot of covers. And this week I did TV theme songs from the 70s and 80s.
Ooh.
So that, and I'm co-writing with some people on some songs from home, and that's pretty much it for right now. I'm starting to work on a next album. I put one out in 2019. I'm trying to get one out in 2020.
Awesome. And Tony, what about you? What do you do?
I do YouTube videos and podcasts, and my podcast is currently on hiatus because I didn't want to record any episodes until we could meet up again. Though I may change my mind on that. But yeah, I do several YouTube shows. My main show, Some Jerk with a Camera, I have 3 seasons of that on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Tony Goldmark. I'm going to do a 4th season eventually someday, but not right now. But I also did currently I'm working on a State of the Parks editorial video about the Splash Mountain changes. So that'll hopefully be out before the end of the month.
Stay tuned.
Yeah. But yeah, I talk about theme parks and Disney movies and stuff like that. That's what I do basically.
Yeah, it was.
And
it's basically me and Tony's like forte is just like the really cool theme park stuff.
Yeah, so we each picked a guest for this. Tyler was like, I know the perfect guy, and I'm like, all right. And I said, I got Eric, because Eric said he wanted to do. We talked about a band chat, I think, way back when we were on Eric's episode. And I believe it was for the Cars or for Fountains of Wayne or something. I was like, I know who we can call for the first episode here. And so yeah.
Well, it's a pleasure being back.
Perfect. Yeah, excited to have you, both of you guys. And so yeah, Tyler, continue with our scheduled program.
We now return to so I do want to talk a little bit more about Adam Schlesinger and his legacy and everything going on. So going back to his Wikipedia page, he's done stuff for the Disney Parks Christmas Parade. Apparently.
That's right, he did. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
A few years ago, this was one of the songs he co-wrote with David Jabberbaum. Is it Jabberbaum or Yabber? I never know how to pronounce his name, but David, it kind of a motley crew in our interesting pairing, because David Jabberbaum used to be the head writer for The Daily Show with Jon Stewart back in those days. And then he kind of had a latter day career as a songwriter with Adam Schlesinger, doing with David writing the lyrics and Adam writing the music, and they did all the songs for the Stephen Colbert Christmas special in 2009.
Oh, cool!
That was all them. And
cool.
And I believe they did a Broadway musical adaptation of Cry Baby, the John Waters film, because Hairspray had been such a big hit, and the producers wanted to recapture that, and it didn't quite work, but they did that musical, and then they did a lot of projects with Neil Patrick Harris. Couple of years when he hosted the Tonys, they wrote an opening number for him. I remember the first year it was a song called "It's Not Just for Gays Anymore," about how Broadway was trying to expand its appeal to a wider audience, and that song's really great. And then of all things, they did the opening number of a Neil Patrick Harris hosted Disney Parade Christmas special, which aired on Christmas Day one year. I forget which year, but that opening song, by the way, is the only good thing about that special. Otherwise, it's just a typical boilerplate, boring, Disney Parade. Oh, my bride's here. Sorry. There's a siren outside.
No, that's all right.
That's the joke. Anyway, these are the jokes, folks. Sorry.
No worries.
But I'll just wait for it to go by.
It's Adam saying hi, guys. Rest in peace, Adam.
Hello.
Hello. All right.
All right.
No. So, but yeah, it's called "Are You Ready for Christmas?" and it's actually got, now clearly they weren't allowed to, David Jabberbaum wasn't allowed to be as I guess clever as he usually is, just because it was a Disney special.
Mm-hmm.
But the song is pretty fun. It's like, Are you ready for Christmas? Are you ready to have some fun in the shiny December sun? You know,
It's catchy.
Stuff
It's
like
perfect.
that. It's pretty cool.
And of course, they're all doing the choreography in Florida, and they're probably sweating their asses off.
Oh yeah,
It's not snowing.
Well, what are you gonna do?
While we're on Christmas, I have to say that I love from the Stephen Colbert Christmas special the song Nutmeg. It's like the world's dirtiest Christmas song.
Right.
And it, Adam wrote it.
Perfect.
I think maybe David wrote the lyrics and Adam wrote the music to it, but John Legend performed it. And I actually recorded a version of my own of that song just to practice like soul singing and getting better at that. So every Christmas I send it to certain friends.
I'm a great admirer of comedy music, and I love it when a comedy song has the absolute perfect premise for a comedy. So when it has the perfect comedy song premise, like it's got the perfect it knows exactly what it's trying to pastiche. It nails the style, and it's got a really clever lyrical twist to it. And the song from that special that I am just in awe of is Little Dealer Boy, the song Willie Nelson sings. It's a pastiche of Little Drummer Boy, where he imagines basically baby Jesus and the three wise men bringing pot to the nativity and all getting high. And it's brilliant, and it nails the style so perfectly. It's like one of my favorite lines was and the wise men started token, and yea, the bud was kind. And then they do a parody of the infamous David Bowie Bing Crosby Christmas special, Are You High? And it's so great. It's like it's the perfect version of that comedic premise. I love all that
stuff, like Dr. Demento, which you mentioned earlier too. Like I know T-Bone, who's been on Dr. Demento. I met him in person, and I love Zappa. Cool. I'm a huge Zappa fanatic, so I love all that stuff because of Zappa and because of like Beefheart. That's the different side. But when comedy can be catchy, and I love that. I love all that. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
I do want to mention real quick that Adam Schlesinger has indeed worked with the Muppets. So there's an episode of a show on Disney Channel that I used to watch called Good Luck Charlie.
Yes.
I did not know this was him until today, but apparently there's a musical episode where the family gets some help from the Muppets rebuilding their house, and it's written by Adam, and it's surreal.
Puppets building houses. I'm ready.
And it's the
I love it.
Yeah, you'd probably know it if you see it, but it's the Muppets and Good Luck Charlie doing a crossover on Disney Channel, because you got to get that synergy in.
Of course.
And he also composed a song called Did I Mention for The Descendants.
Ooh.
That movie.
Awesome. Amazing talent. And it's so to see that his legacy will go on without a doubt, and to see that people will be enjoying it for years to come without a doubt. And it made me cry when I found out, because like to me it was like I didn't know too much about him, but I didn't know that he wrote That Thing You Do. I thought Mike Viola, because I saw The Thing, and I didn't realize that was Mike Viola either. And I'm like running into the power pop scene now, and I'm a huge fan of Mike Viola, and I've had the honor to work with people that he's worked with, like Frankie Saragusa. I think they work. I'm not sure if they work together, but they know each other. And some other really cool.
Did you know that Mike sings on my latest record?
Yes, I do. That's who I was thinking of. Mike. I would love to get in contact with him to tell him I just love his music. But to see that video of Mike Viola and Adam doing That Thing You Do, and I was like, oh, and I can't sing that song for crap. I tried covering it, and I'm like, The Weeknd's covered it, a guy covered it when Ken went live a couple shows ago. This guy covered it as well, that we might have up on the podcast. I forget his name, but I'm losing it today. It's hot. But it was really cool is that song is so catchy, and again, I love Tony mentioned the actual premise behind that, and it does fit that like one hit wonder trying to be the Beatles, and I love it.
Yeah,
absolutely. There's also a really good video out there of John Auer from the Posies, our good friend John Auer, touring with Fountains of Wayne.
That's
He joins in on a performance of Hackensack, and it's like
I gotta hear that.
It was one of the first things I thought about, as soon as I found out the news of Adam's passing, besides his work.
Kind of reminded me of the Fannies a little bit too, Fan Club, a little bit. I think it was that one or another one, but there was one that sounded a little bit like Teenage Fan Club, and I mean it's the same time period, so it would have been like everybody's kind of running the same.
This was like around 2009.
Oh, okay, so this
video came out.
I'll have to see which one it was, but again, yeah, like I love the Fan Club too. So
yeah,
but I love hearing it. Yeah.
Yeah, Hackensack is another one of those songs that is just, the specificity of it just makes it like lyrics like I saw you talking to Christopher Walken on my TV screen.
Go ahead.
Possibly my single favorite Fountains of Wayne lyric ever is from the song New Routine on
that's a good one too.
On Traffic and Weather.
I was going to mention that one too. Yeah. That was one of the songs I recommended to Jebb.
Yeah.
Two men sit at a table at a diner. Both of them look quite a bit like Carl Reiner.
Yeah.
Which, another person we lost recently.
Yeah, true. Which is strange.
Tony, could you turn your mic down a bit?
Oh, sorry about that.
No, you're
no worries. It's all good.
Right.
That's what we got post editing for.
Yay.
All right.
But yeah, no, and it's just, again, it's cool to be able to sit in here as usually when we do the podcast, I'm like, I know everything, but for once, I'm able to say and I'm able to learn, and I love learning. That's my biggest thing. So I'm able to sit.
How about Tinted Windows? Anyone want to talk about that?
Tinted Windows.
Which one is that? What else was that?
Okay, this is a side project.
Ooh.
It's a super group with Adam and Bunny Carlos on drums.
Oh, wow.
Cheap Trick.
Wow.
It's got James Zeha from Smashing Pumpkins,
Oh.
and it's got Taylor Hanson on vocals.
I'll be listening to this.
They have a
Okay,
whole
this is my first
10-song
time
album.
hearing about this.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah, I just pulled up the
Awesome.
Wikipedia page.
Yeah, I'll have to hear that then, because I love Cheap Trick. I'm a huge fan. So.
Any songs you would recommend off of that, Eric? Or
their lead single was really good. Oh boy, I think it was it Just a Girl, Kind of a Girl, something like that. I don't have it in front of me, but I have the CD somewhere. It's a great record. Yep. Super power pop.
Oh, well, I love power pop.
Oh, are you talking about that's another song that he wrote, which is very power pop-ish, Just the Girl by the Click 5, which got like a lot of like radio play when I used to listen like radio Disney
I love the
all
Click
the time.
5.
Yeah, he did.
Ah! See, it's what Adam's in everything. I'm gonna open up and be like, that apple is Adam now.
It's insane.
It is awesome.
Like looking back at his career, it's insane how much.
Looking at Ken Stringfellow with the amount of he's produced. It's like, whoa. You like looking here, he's like played with Neil Young, he's played with R.E.M. I'm like, Ken, do you slow down? And I love it. I love that he does, and I love being in contact. But that's where I met Eric. I met Eric at a Ken show alongside with Minky Starshine. So 2 power pop.
That's
greats.
right.
Three power pop greats in one room. And Eric, that includes you.
Oh, thank you.
And I don't count myself. It's Ken, Eric, and Minky. That was a cool day. I should have had you sign my guitar. I'm still regretting that. So if we ever meet up again, you got to sign that guitar. Minky was so excited about that.
Sure.
He was running around with it. But yeah. But it's great. I'm gonna get into Fountains of Wayne. This podcast has educated me, and usually you'd be the one to listen to it, but not actually be on it. And I'm actually on it. I'm over here like I'm gonna listen. I love it.
So he's also worked with Kathy Griffin.
Wow.
Jonas Brothers, I mentioned that.
Yeah.
Katy Perry covered Hackensack a while back.
Really?
She did, yeah.
A little bit of a tongue twister right there. It also mentions the Colbert TV special and Crank Yankers of all things. Wow.
That's a crazy.
Yeah, they did the theme song to Crank Yankers.
Oh, that was that
which
one?
is because it doesn't really matter. That song. Come on, you can do what you want. Yeah, that was Fountains of Wayne.
Oh, wow.
And
I do want to mention, because we haven't really talked about him a whole lot. Chris Collingswood has an incredible voice. I love that part of the reason why I go back to these songs after so long is just to hear that voice. He sounds incredible.
Young is a good
the
drummer.
way he layers his harmonies.
Sure. Yeah, it's so deadpan and so perfect. You know, that voice.
It's so good. I was hooked because of the voice going in. I love Brian because the Posies and stuff like that. But again, Brian wasn't in the Posies for too long. He was just a success, right? if I'm not mistaken, Tyler.
He was he joined during Amazing Disgrace. He
Oh,
was on
so
that.
it was after
It was Success, and then he left the band after that.
Okay, and then he went on.
Yeah,
with
Tony,
his
you
own.
probably like the Posies. They're kind of like in the same boat.
Oh yeah, you gotta check them out.
I'll be sure to check them out.
They and if you want to, listen, Success is a phenomenal album. Amazing Disgrace is really good. Amazing Disgrace is one of their ones that everybody kind of counts as kind of their one that wasn't as good as the others, but I love everything they do, so I'm kind of biased. I like how Ken plays a lot of the songs still from Amazing Disgrace more, and even two guys from Cheap Trick were on a Hate Song. I'm trying to think of the two names, Robin Zander and who's the main guy? Help me here.
Oh, shit.
Forgetting.
God, I gotta look it up.
I know, the guitarist, Eric. Cheap Trick.
Wait,
who's the
yeah, I
guitarist?
do. You're putting me on the spot. All information's flying out of my head.
No worries.
Rick Nielsen.
Yeah,
Rick
and Robin are on the Hate Song with the Posies, and it's you can't even I thought that I didn't even realize that was them, and then I read the credits and I was like, oh, that must have been a cool little thing that they got to do.
Yeah, there's a fun little story on the Posies website, which is like the diary of
I gotta read more of that stuff.
How that album came to be and everything, like the recording process. And there's some great Cheap
We
Trick
need to do a
stories
Posies band chat and just have the Posies on it, because we did that. We did that with the Big Star one. We had them on to talk Big Star.
It's just gonna be us for a whole hour just saying
we
love you.
But yeah, no, Fountains of Wayne is I like them because I like the Posies. So I kind of tend with that era of music. I love that era of music. And guys, check out Eric Band's The Cautions too, if you get a chance, because they got that similar.
And Eric's solo work.
Yeah. And Eric's solo work, definitely. What am I doing here? I played Eric on my radio show a couple times too, so I love Eric's
Thank
stuff.
you.
Yeah.
And Tony's music, because he dabbled in country music in the past.
Tony.
I dabbled. I'm kind of not doing it anymore, just because
which is fair.
I'm not really a musician, I had no business releasing albums, but I did anyway. So what are you gonna do?
They were good. They got laughs out of me.
Oh, thanks.
The completionists doing their thing with the big bosses, with everybody doing like that. Mix with everything.
Have you guys heard the song "Fountains of Wayne Hotline" by Robbie Fulks?
I have.
Oh no, I haven't.
Yeah,
I'm a big Robbie Fulks fan.
Yeah, country artist Robbie Fulks, one of my absolute favorite artists of all time. Back in 2005, released a standalone single called "Fountains of Wayne Hotline," which kind of goes back and forth between being a song that's a full-blown Fountains of Wayne homage and these spoken bits where he's on a customer service line of trying to record the perfect Fountains of Wayne song, which is really the perfect song when you think about it.
This.
Yeah, you got to check this song out. Fountains of Wayne Hotline, Robbie Fulks. It's hilarious.
That is something we're going to be doing with your friend Jebb type thing. We're going to have throw in some voice lines in there of a calling in. So that kind of I'm going to have to check that out. Definitely see if I can get
I haven't thought about that song in years. That's great.
Another sort of personal esoteric Fountains of Wayne story, and you can cut this if it's not relevant at all, but one of my biggest musical kind of fandom obsessions, my single biggest musical obsession of all time is I'm a huge Weird Al Yankovic fan.
There you go.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I to the point where I've several times been on a Weird Al fandom podcast called The Weird Alphabet, including their episode on the song Skipper Dan. And Skipper Dan was a sort of semi-tragic Weird Al song about an aspiring actor who's stuck working as a Jungle Cruise skipper. Now, the song itself was meant to be a Weezer style parody, but I told this story when I was on the Weird Alphabet. It was a Weezer style parody, and when you realize it's Weezer, it's like, oh yeah, you hear it, especially the song Pork and Beans. But when it first was released in 2009, there was a lot of discourse in the Weird Al, fan groups and online message boards of speculation that it was a Fountains of Wayne style parody because it sounds a lot like a Fountains of Wayne song, just because they have so many songs about people trapped in unsatisfying careers. And literally that year at Alfest 2009, Al's drummer Bermuda had to deny those rumors publicly. It's like, no, it's not Fountains of Wayne. It was Weezer. We totally. But you realize, Weezer plus songs about people trapped in unsatisfying careers equals Fountains of Wayne. That's the equation.
That's
for
the
you.
formula.
It's like Weezer
I never
is
really
just
thought of that until just now. Like
Weezer is just a slightly more boring Fountains of Wayne. It's like
I don't think Adam's ever worked with Weird Al, has he? Or
not that I'm aware of. Well, Weird Al was on Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, where he sang on one of the very last episodes where he sang a song that used the melody of "Where's the Bathroom," where because he's a guy selling hot air balloon tours, and he's framing it as "There's no bathroom," so and he played accordion on that. So that's the one occasion I can think of Al singing an Adam Schlesinger composition at the very least.
He did write that song. So yeah.
So other than that, which is a shame because it seems like it'd be a perfect combination. But what are you gonna do?
Because you have like these rumors of like Al and Lin-Manuel Miranda are going to be doing
right
All Presidents, which I hope happens. I hope
that's probably I'm realistic enough to know that's probably not going to happen, but it'd be so cool if it did.
Yeah, considering how many people Adam's worked with, like he's done like basically like how Weird Al has done voice acting for all these different shows.
Mm-hmm.
Adam's written songs for all these shows. It's kind of interesting how they pretty much almost never came together until that moment. Like I would have loved like a full on like Adam and Weird Al like get together.
That would be amazing. I know Al's a fan of Fountains of Wayne at the very least. So
I can see it.
Yeah, I don't know. It just never got around to it, which is sad.
It is.
Yeah, it's like hearing the news about Adam was just really sobering because I was like, always sort of like a biggish fan of Fountains of Wayne, and it just like really
not knowing that he did that thing you do to after, and I our culture gets if you get into something after somebody dies, it's like a sin, which is stupid in my opinion. It's like if you like music, you like music, and it was like to me, it's like I like Fountains of Wayne, but I didn't go out. That's why we waited to do this episode a little late, Makes more sense to do it when the little things have calmed down a little bit. And I wanted to reach out to Brian Young, which I did today, actually, to see if he'd like to come on to talk posies or talk and just his music in general. But I don't expect him to respond anytime soon. But it's just cool that he did add me on Facebook. So I am friends with Brian Young, which is an honor. I love his drumming. So yeah.
And I gotta say, Schlesinger's death. It was. That was one of the first. That was the first COVID-19 death that really hit me hard.
Oh, dude!
Like
nice.
it like up to that point, we hear, people are dying, and we hear, oh, it's a global pandemic. We got to take this seriously, but you hear like. These hundreds or thousands of people die, and it's like an abstraction.
Yeah,
when you hear
don't know what to believe. Yeah,
when you hear Adam Schlesinger died at the age of 52?
I know,
51.
Wow.
And it's like that is like, okay, you just fucking made it personal. You just
exactly. I'm ready.
I mean, and looking back on his career and everything, and finding out that people are like falling in love with the music now, like it's great that it's happening, but it's sad that it's happening under these specific
I feel like it's I'm good with that. I'm happy that people are becoming Fountains of Wayne fans. They well deserve it, over deserve it. They should be a lot.
Wasn't worth it.
But yeah, it wasn't. No, without a doubt. I miss Adam. I truly. How many more movies could have had his this writing? It's just it makes me very upset. Yeah. And it's kind of like the thing with the with everything. I bet you people felt like when Freddie Mercury died, like holy shit, we just lost. Like it's and I'm not saying it's the same thing.
Or Howard Ashman.
It's great.
Nuts.
Great Disney composer.
Yeah.
Why is it always the songwriters?
I don't know, man. I don't want to write songs anymore. I'm done. We got a new hit coming out. I don't want to write Tyler. I'm done.
If anything, it just makes me want to carry the torch.
It is. It's scary.
Yeah.
It's scary.
When he died, I was, I think, on my second week of doing my concerts from home, and that it hit me super hard. But I pulled it together that week, and I did an Adam song that week, and then I think the next week or the week after, I did another one. I did
awesome.
Denise and I-95. So
perfect. And you know what? I think Adam would want us to keep going and to keep, remembering him for what he's done, and without a doubt, because he's inspired so many. And you can see he, even in the smallest way, inspired me without really knowing too much. I didn't know That Thing You Do, but That Thing You Do inspired me immensely. So it's like even the movie stuff, it's like he really truly was that embodiment of go get the music scene and do all that you can. And I see that like a lot of people like following his footsteps, and it's great to see that people care, But yeah, again, not worth losing him over, but it's sad, and it truly again something I wasn't knowing too much about, but now I want to get into and want to get into Fountains of Wayne because of just in general the talent that man has. And it's like, oof.
Sure. Well, you knew so many things that he did without even knowing.
It was him. Like you saw how surprised I got. I'm like, that's him. It's like it's so cool. It's like when you just start discovering. Like recently, we discovered one of my favorite artists of all time from a band called Photomaker. We interviewed Frankie Vinci. He does the last song from was it Tyler? What was that movie? It was the horror movie from the 80s.
Sleepaway Camp.
Sleepaway Camp. He does the final song on that, and I went to the guy's house, and I got to hang out with him. So, like, it was, like, really cool. Social distancing and all that, but it was just something to meet a guy that, like, from Sleepaway Camp, which is a cult classic movie, and he was like, yeah, I did the last song on that one. It's like, I didn't know that, And he also did the NFL what was it, like the halftime show song for 1 year or two. And it was like, holy crap, the theme song, the boom, boom, boom thing. So I was like, oh, wow. You learn a lot about artists without realizing, like, oh, they're not just in a band. They have all these royalties coming in from other things they've done, which is insane. So that's really cool.
Yeah. I do want to say a couple more things about Fountains of Wayne. Number one, so you mentioned that I've released albums. I did one song several years ago, actually on my technically most recent album, Goldmark After Dark, called One Damn Lane, which is a frustration song about being stuck in traffic. Now, tonally, the song was very much a Decemberist homage, but I'm going to reveal this here and now. The chord progression of the song is straight up me ripping off Fountains of Wayne. Ooh, because Fountains of Wayne did a song on the of all things, it's on the soundtrack of the first Scary Movie called Too Cool for School. It's not on any of their albums. It's on the Scary Movie soundtrack. But if you slowed down Too Cool for School, it's the exact same chord progression as my song One Damn Lane.
Oh my God.
That's my confession I'm making right here and now. I straight up ripped them off.
Like with one of my songs, it's straight up the Zombies. It's the Cranberries Zombie with the E minor C D G, because a lot of that progression's very GD is a lot of the same. But yeah, there you go. And it's like, to me, it's like it's something that it's like, it happens a lot, but that's cool.
Yeah. Also, we haven't really mentioned the last Fountains of Wayne album, Sky Full of Holes, from 2011.
I was going to mention one of the songs I recommended to Jebb was, I think it was The Summer Place in Richie and Reuben.
Oh, yes. I really like that one, because it was very much reminded me of my small town life here.
Yeah. Yeah. One of my, I feel like by the time that came out, that album, I feel, goes slightly more unheralded, because I feel like a lot of their fan base had kind of moved on to other things by then, but it's still just a really great album. A Dip in the Ocean is probably my favorite song from it.
I was listening to that one earlier.
Another song I've used in my videos. I used that in my video about Pixar Pier. So
yeah, I noticed.
But yeah, just so much catchy stuff in their catalog, and it's it's just full of so many gems.
Yeah, I would say that the first two records, if they had the luxury of going back and re-recording those, I think they could be easily as strong as Welcome Interstate Managers and Traffic.
But you wouldn't want to do it without Adam.
Of course.
No. Yeah.
But if they could,
it's a time capsule.
Of course.
I think they just picked up so many arranging chops and producing chops by the time they got to Traffic and Weather.
Right.
That it would have been nice if they had the same opportunities with the first two to make an even bigger splash.
Well, it's like our the band that I was with originally, Jebb and the Riots. We're actually doing a 4th anniversary to make fun of the 40th anniversary stuff. So we're doing 40 with an X through the 0, and it's 4th anniversary of my very first album because management's looking at me now in my music, which is great, and I just want to make sure everything goes good. They're like, "Hey, you want to do your first album
we got
over?"
Some really great news coming.
And I'm like, "Sure." I've never thought about it. By the way, the band members and I don't get along, so we actually reached out to each other because of the COVID crisis, and we're actually on good terms now. And Owen's going to be part of that as well, and Tyler will find a way to have you in there too. But it's going to be a really cool re-release of my first album, which is something that's funny that you guys mentioned the if they could redo, and it's like, oh, I'm getting a chance to redo this first album. I'm just going to do it right because it deserves more attention, more rewrites, and all that. Because it was very much me talking about a girl in high school. It needs to be rewritten. But yeah,
A Sky Full of Holes, despite being their last album on a small label, it's wonderfully produced from what I've heard.
Yeah,
I'll have to listen to. I gotta listen to all their albums. I'm just gonna go on a binge, like a binge TV.
Like,
I'm binging Fountains of Wayne. It's an order that I'm directing to myself.
Yeah, they made so many great songs. They made a lot of really upbeat, funny songs. They also made some really great sad songs. Just like Valley Winter Song is I'd say is one of those.
That's a
Finding
very
for a Parade
song. Like, it's one of those songs. I mentioned just sitting by the fire and listening to it, but it also kind of makes me sad listening to it. I can't quite explain why. Like, it's
bittersweet. It's what it is.
It's sort of like a song longing for what you want to have, but what you don't have.
Yeah, and like when Adam died, the first thing I thought was the song "Everything's Ruined." It's like that encapsulates everything. One false move, baby, suddenly everything's ruined. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Yep.
So let's see.
So anyway, I brought the room down. I'm sorry.
Nah, it's
fine,
perfect.
It's good. It was gonna get sad anyway.
Yeah, it's got to. It's got to. That's how Fountain Waynes are.
So, do we have any final thoughts? Or?
Yeah.
My final thoughts are go listen to Fountains of Wayne, the album, all of them.
Yes,
all the way.
And wear a damn mask. Just do it.
Yeah, wear a damn mask.
Please, everyone, do what you need to do to take part. Like, if you need, don't go out. Restaurants are opening back up. They're doing the safety differences. I love that. I've been to a couple and been safely, apart and haven't had issues. Wear a god dang mask. Thank you. I am all for that. Because if we all wear a mask and start doing what we're supposed to do, we could see this maybe go quicker. And it's just hope. It's just hope. But hey, if you're struggling out there with anything going on, we all are too. I think everybody creatively, anybody who's creative, just reach out to your friends, make sure they're doing okay. And I'm all for this. Make sure to reach out to your friends and make music or make movies, make art, make what you can, do what you can to stay positive. And that's my final message. There you go.
I strongly endorse Jebb's message. That's a great ending.
Perfect.
I heartily endorse this.
All right, we'll wrap it up here then. Oh, thank you guys for coming on. First of all, thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. Thanks so much, guys.